So some big things have happened over the last few days between Iran, US, and Israel around this deep state war. And what's happening on the outside optically is much different than what is going on behind the scenes. And this is all happening all while the media is attacking Trump again in their final last ditch effort to attempt to thwart Trump and the White Hat's final takedown of this deep state cabal network. So in this video, we'll briefly go over some updates on the news, then talk about what's happening that Trump is saying and doing, correct some of the narrative being projected in the news, and then make sense of what's happening from big picture perspective. So let's get into it. So in a matter of just a couple of days, Iran had struck Israel first in this missile barrage attack. And so in between all this chaos, Israel met with President Trump, the Israeli IDF and military. They were trying to decide what to do, how to respond. President Trump even called Bibi Netanyahu and said, if you are going to strike back, it's going to be like going back to the last 3,000 years or 47 years. And that he hopes that Israel will not retaliate, and that you've got to do something better than, escalating and all this stuff. And basically here, playing good cop in the midst of Israel seeming to be the bad cop, all the while striking and taking care of this evil regime that is warmongering and trying to attack Israel and doing other things, nefarious things. And again, you got to remember, Iran, the IRGC, is a proxy army to the deep state, the Iranian people. Some of the people there, they don't really want this. And there are certain people that want to be warmongers. They actually like doing it, or they are held against their will. And again, this is emphasizing the idea that Iran was there. They were set up, they were armed, Trump says, by Obama and many other deep state agents to be used for nefarious purposes. And what ended up happening was that Israel launched new strikes against certain areas, especially the airport. And then according to Axios, that certain areas of Tehran, Karaj, Isfahan, Tabriz, Kermanshah, all of them, I think central and western Iran had been hit. And during these airstrikes, which was yesterday, June 8th, they were specifically against air defense grids, missile manufacturing, and drone production facilities. And all while this was happening, President Trump spoke on Twitter, Israel and Iran must immediately stop shooting, and that both sides, Israel and Iran, are looking to do an immediate ceasefire. So final negotiations on peace are proceeding, subject to ignorance or stupidity getting in its way. The blockade will remain in place and in full force in effect until a final deal is reached. Things should move quickly. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So all in a matter of 2 or 3 days, the optics to the world is that Iran, Israel have been fighting, and there's just kind of this unprovoked attack. And Trump is coming in here and saying that he wants to allow peace to happen. Now, I want to go over some clips on what Trump is communicating to us, where we can get some clues on certain things that are happening. Listen to him talk about certain Iranian capabilities and how especially Trump knows what's going on.
Look, we have totally destroyed their military. They have some missiles left. They have some drones left.
Do you know how many missiles?
Yes, exactly.
How many?
I don't want to tell you.
Can you give me a ballpark?
But they have some left. I know almost to the number, and we know where they are too. And we know where their drones are, and we know where their drone factories are. Most of the drone factories have been knocked out. Most of the launching pads have been knocked out, and most of the missile manufacturing areas have been knocked out. But they still have capacity. They have some missiles. They have some drones. I would say percentage-wise, maybe 21, 22% of their missiles. It's a lot of missiles, but it's not what it was when we first attacked.
So you're saying they have 21.
So listen to what he's saying there. He knows exactly, based on military level intelligence, how many are left and why he's projecting this. And it's interesting because before the Israelis attacked the last little bits of the drone and missile sites, this is what Trump said, that this is what they have left. So is it that Israel was used as a bad cop to take out the rest of the capability, or at least mute it or reduce it to some degree? And listen also to what he says about the accuracy of their capabilities.
The Iranians. If we don't make a deal, we may do it, or we may just watch it. We have cameras on it all over it. If anybody walked there, if you walked over there, I would be able to read your first name on your lapel. And these are cameras up in space. It's pretty amazing technology, Space Force. We have cameras all over the site. We know if anybody goes there. If anybody went there, any digging mechanism, any truck, any tractors, anything, anybody went there, we would know. We will take care of it.
So the point here being that they have a grasp of everything that's happening from a precision level detail point of view. And Trump always repeats the same sort of phrasing when he's talking about Iran. Listen again to what he's saying here.
For us, it's not. We have the most powerful military in the world. I built it, frankly. I built it in my first 4 years, and I'm using it a little bit in my second 4 years. Their Navy is gone. Their Air Force is gone. Their anti-aircraft is gone. They might have built it up a little bit over the last 4 weeks during this little ceasefire that we did at the request of some very good people, very, very fine people from, actually from numerous places, as you know.
And again, he makes 2 points here that people did not really catch. Number one is that the deep state, Obama and those before them, tried to weaken the U.S. military. Remember, that was part of the plan if Hillary was to get elected. But Trump re-allowed the military to be strengthened. And then secondly, he keeps saying that he took care of everything. The Navy is gone, the Air Force is gone, their anti-aircraft is gone. He's saying over and over these things are gone, that they're at the bottom of the ocean. Remember, this is a deep state proxy army that he got rid of, and he's communicating to not only us, but to the deep state. We're taking care of business. You're not here anymore to terrorize the Middle East, to have your ironclad sort of grip control over the people, especially the Strait of Hormuz, having people in this chokehold. And here's President Trump after the NBA Knicks game where he's talking to the press. And listen to the first few moments.
We have ongoing negotiations in Iran and with Iran. That hasn't stopped, and we could have at least an idea by 1 or 2 days from now, but I think it's going well. The blockade continues to hold 100%. Nothing is getting through our blockade. No oil, no income, no nothing. Nothing's getting through the blockade. We have our great Secretary of the Interior, and we have Lee Zeldin, as you know. Doug, would you like to say a couple of words?
Well, I would just say on the Middle East, President Trump has all the leverage, and I'm confident we're going to come out of this with a great deal.
Now listen to what he says there. He says that there's no oil, there's no income, no nothing. Continued evidence that he's trying to strangle the deep state stronghold. We talked about the deep state funding, the money laundering, all of this stuff to help fund their operation, but he's strangling that right at this moment. And then also listen to Secretary of the Interior Doug Burgum. He says that President Trump and the White House have all the leverage. Remember, this is about leverage and reducing Iran's leverage, the deep state and the proxy army's leverage, and then making sure that they are cleaning house before they move forward. It's not necessarily that they just want a deal and just kind of move forward. There's a lot of theatrics here. There's a lot of intentional direction to get them into a checkmate position. And this is what's happening. They want to cut off the head, make sure the hand of tentacles of the deep state is no longer there for any future threat level, especially the nuclear part of it. And what President Trump has continually said is that he wants to end the endless wars. And that's very interesting because the attacks are ramping up on President Trump, especially following the interview on Meet the Press where he was asked, why are you starting new wars? And this narrative of, and you can see it from here in this article that I'm showing, CNN, where they were quote unquote trying to fact check him and saying that Trump told NBC that he promised not to start a new war. And then CNN saying here he did repeatedly. Again, we're going to take a look at some of the clips. We're going to take a look on what it means to know context. Because again, this is what the media likes to do. All right, so first let's take a look at what he said when asked about this. And look at the way that they're framing this. Kristen Welker here.
Mr. President, one of your consistent campaign promises was no new wars, going all the way back to 2015. Did you break that promise to the American people?
No. I had to stop a country, very powerful, very dangerous country, from having a nuclear weapon because they'd use it. They'd blow up the world. They'd blow up the Middle East. They'd blow up Israel. They'd come here. They'd blow up Europe. They're nuts, okay? They're crazy people. I deal with them. And very high-strung people, a little crazy. And get along with them. I like them. But you don't want to let them have a nuclear weapon. And I'm doing the world a service, but I'm doing our country a service. You know, it's America first. I'm doing our country a service. Nice rain.
So there's a little bit of an interruption there, but then going down again. He was asked about this again.
But the answer is good. Let's just keep going.
Keep going.
Let's power through it, right?
Here, we paused nearly 5 minutes for the rain to pass and then picked up our conversation. So you're saying you didn't break your promise, and yet, Mr. President, in your first term, you held to that promise, and it was so fundamental to who you were as a candidate to a first-term president. What changed? Because you insisted no new wars.
Well, I didn't guarantee no war. Why would I have built the strongest military in the world? I built our military. I inherited a terrible military. We had no equipment. We had nothing. I built a tremendous military. Biden gave a lot of it away, but it's still a relatively small portion compared to what I built.
But you said it over and over again, Mr.
Why would I
President?
build a military? Now, I didn't want to use this, but I'm doing you and everybody else a big favor. In the midst of the greatest stock market in history, in the midst of the most successful country, because as you know, in the last term we were a dead country, but at the hottest point in the history of our country, I took Scott, Howard, I took Pete, I took everybody into a room. I said, I have to do this country, this world, the Middle East, Israel, everybody a favor. You have Iran. They're going to have a nuclear weapon. Barack Hussein Obama signed the JCPOA. It was a horrible deal. Horrible deal. Listen to me. It was a horrible deal. It was a path to them getting a nuclear weapon. They were very close to having a nuclear weapon. I terminated the deal. Wait. Then I sent the B-2 bombers in about 9-10 months ago, and they totally obliterated the site, and I saved it. We had a choice. We could let them have a nuclear weapon, or we could go along and have some beautiful days. But they would have, it's a judgment. They would have used the nuclear weapon. And you know what? When people hear that whole scenario, when they hear me say Iran was going to have a nuclear weapon, and they're crazy, they say you're doing the right thing. I don't think it's you'll do polls because they're all fake polls anyway, especially yours. But you do polls. I just want a big election. And the reason I want an election is people have confidence in me. I have good judgment. I had to make a judgment. Do I want to go along and have a country that's doing really well, but somebody is going to try and kill us? Or do I want to put out that horrible threat? And I did. I put it out. I put it out for many, many years. Now I'm going to put it out permanently. I'm going to do it either through negotiation, where we're very close to a deal, or I'm going to blow the hell out of them, to be honest with you. And it's going to be very easy for me to do. That's actually the easier path. So when you say I promised, I didn't promise anything. I don't like these endless wars. This is not an endless war. We've been doing this for 3 months. Much of it has been under the form, a pretty good form of ceasefire. The blockade has been amazing. Our Navy is amazing. Our military is the best in the world.
Remember, you have to look at context here. Trump is saying that he wants to end the endless wars. And where do you draw the boundary? If the U.S. were to be attacked by nuclear weapons from Iran and Trump didn't defend himself, the country, then what are people going to say? Hey, you didn't do anything about it? Just because you want to stick to this thing of we're not going to start a new war. And in fact, he didn't actually start a new war. He was ending an already existing conflict, especially between the tension of the U.S. and the Iranian Revolutionary Guard. This whole war of white hat versus black hat against the deep state, this is where we are at. And the media right now is trying to frame it in such a way to villainize President Trump. And there's a whole slew of these Trump lied and said that, oh, there's no new wars and all this stuff, and even trying to clip it. But listen actually to what he says.
You insisted no new wars.
I didn't guarantee no war.
I'm not going to start a war. I'm going to stop wars. No more wars, no more disruptions. We will have prosperity and we will have peace. Under Trump, we will have no more wars, no more disruptions, and we will have prosperity and peace for all. I am the candidate of peace. I am peace. We will turn the page forever on those foolish, stupid days of never-ending wars. They never ended.
So again, people are taking that out of context. Remember, he's ending the wars, the Iranian threat to the world, the endless wars. He says no more wars, no more disruptions, and that he will have peace. And how do you have peace? It's peace through strength. It's peace through self-defense. It's peace through removing these threats to the world. And because the media is so against Trump and trying to frame it this way, this is some of their last-ditch efforts to make him look bad and people to rise up against him. Remember, Q Post 236, how do you remove your enemies from positions of influence and authority? Define stages, define puppets, define puppet handlers, define proxy war, define proxy war, define proxy war. Expand your thinking. Remember, Trump, the White Hats, they know certain things. They are strategically removing these things. Their ability, the deep state's ability for war to have a chokehold on the world. And that there are stages to this. And there are certain things we just don't know. There are certain things that Trump and the White House have to communicate in a certain way. But at the same time, make sure you are navigating the narrative warfare carefully, understanding context, how they're going to skew certain words against you, against Trump, the White Hats, and making sure you have an objective perspective, that your perception of reality is correct. Unfortunately, the world is going to play into this optics game of making Israel or U.S. or whoever look bad. But right now, Trump is playing good cop. He has the leverage. He has to reduce and remove and deplete the deep state proxy army's capability as much as possible. And he even said that in that previous interview. And he's doing it with a strategic element of surprise, among other things, to get the job done. So be careful as we move into some of these last few phases. Let's see what happens with the next couple of days and this deal And then the blockade, he mentioned it's going to be, I think, like 2 or 3 more months. But we are at sort of this breaking point, and I see a lot of breakthrough, a lot of the light at the end of the tunnel, and we'll see where we go from here. So I just want to encourage you guys with this quick update. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And also, if you guys want to support me financially, you guys know I'm listener supported. We're trying to meet our goal for the month. So all that information is down below in the description at the givesendgo.com link. Also have PayPal, Zelle, Venmo. Love you guys. Talk to you guys very soon.